region and the Middle East and North Africa region. Thank you for tuning in to the Sharjah Research and Technology Park's continuous engagement and ecosystem building webinars. Today's session will be themed around the smart manufacturing space and kind of getting insights to how the industrial 4.0 transformation is really transforming. Today we have Mr. Balaji Nambi from PTC. He'll be sharing his insights from a UAE perspective and seeing what they're doing. And Mr. Vikrant Kulkarni, product manager at SICK Middle East and Egypt. So I'll be kicking off the session with an introduction to what we're doing at the park, followed by Mr. Vikrant and followed by Mr. Balaji. So without further ado, so how we position ourselves, first of all, as a regional gateway for innovation and business growth. And this is not only for startups, but also to SMEs and strategic partners, whether they're in the multinationals perspective or whether they're from a venture capital perspective. Obviously, the UAE has positioned itself as a very forward-thinking nation, and that's due to the fact that we've got some incredible visionary leaders across the realm of the country. The chairman of our company, the chairman of the Sharjah Research and Technology Park, is the ruler of Sharjah himself, Sheikh Dr. Sultan bin Mohammed Al Qasimi, who really started this vision over 3 decades ago when he started the university city here in Sharjah, which today is one of the largest talent pool, let's say, cluster in the region. We have a few mandates at the park itself. So building an innovation ecosystem, this is by both stimulating the venture creation from within the UAE for the region, and also connecting and attracting ventures and like-minded ventures or like-minded individuals or like-minded entities for them to be part of this ecosystem, for them to access the region through the park, leveraging what we are building, leveraging our value add as an ecosystem in total. Generating employment, this is just a byproduct of what happens once our partners grow, once we've been able to kind of stimulate and create new ventures. Catalyzing knowledge economy, this is high up on the agenda for the UAE government on a federal and the local government perspective. And we're supporting that straight from the fact that we are backed by one of the largest academic backbones in the region, and obviously investing for the future. So our ecosystem is built on a triple helix approach, which is the intersection of the government and the business and the academic sectors, and everything that can happen in between. So you've got the government to academia, the academia to business. So it's really that nurturing so it's situating ourselves in the middle of these sectors that you really stimulate the innovation ecosystem or the innovation culture, not only from a UAE perspective, but also for the Middle East in general. And we're attacking this from a mindsets perspective too. It's not just about getting things done off the ground or helping this company get to Z. We're also doing the education piece to all stakeholders involved. At the park, we focus on stimulating certain sectors. So the healthcare and digitization, renewable energy, environmental, water, production design and architecture, or the industrial 4.0, and mobility, logistics, and smart cities, all of which are massive, massive industries. We can't really classify them, but they're all interrelated, and they're all kind of related to the fact that the Middle East and North Africa region is considered as an emerging market to some, considered as a mature market to some. But it's the overall development from a physical perspective to a virtual perspective. And this is what we're trying to address here. And this is what we're trying to bring through the park. So what we've achieved over the past couple of years, we already have 6 deep tech anchor projects since 2019 alone. We've attracted over $100 million in FDI to the park. Today, I'm proud to say that we have 95 companies at the park. It's no longer 80. And we're tied into one of the largest talent pools and university clusters in the region. We have been building relations with various like-minded entities globally, whether they're different embassies or research institutes or academic institutes and accelerators and hubs, just because at the end of the day, it's not just about people coming inwards, it's also what goes outwards, and the whole tech transfer, knowledge transfer, and innovation transfer that happens because of these relations. A couple of This is the pilot project that I mentioned earlier. This is a Skyway train, which is going to be a transformational thing. And this is a suspended railway system, which they already have set up the first and second pilot. I'm currently situated in our co-working space in the park, and if I look outside, we can see the train rails that are almost ready for testing. We've got some forward-thinking leaders when it comes to sustainable and agriculture, dealing with the food security apps. We have solar projects. We've got leaders in the digitized healthcare space. NAPTA is one of the forward-leading entities and focusing on women's health tech. This is an investment we have done ourselves, and this is again part of the capacity building initiatives at the park. This is the Soil Lab, which is a Sharjah Open Innovation Lab, which is a fast prototyping makerspace. And located here in our headquarters, available, and it's going to be open to the public for them to participate and take courses and build on their own learning and development. Back to the point of private or government to academic relations, we've set up a collaboration and structure in case with the academic institutes, not only in the UAE, but also globally. We're commercializing some of the projects from the university directly, whether it's in 3D constructed printing and concrete, or whether it's conductive concrete around these lines, exoskeleton projects. When it comes to activations, 2020 was a very odd year for a lot of people, but we were able to kind of mitigate everything to what we do online, physically into a virtual world, whether there were the Women in Tech Forum, which we launched last year. This was actually before everything kicked off from the pandemic perspective. We're launching the second edition for it very soon. When it comes to circular economy, when it comes to accelerators, last year we launched our Sharjah Advanced Industry Accelerator, which we just concluded. We have 8 top-notch startups joining the park very soon to be able to kick off pilots and take their scaling activities to the next level. We did one of the largest events hosted during the pandemic time, which is the Middle East and North Africa Innovation Technology Transfer Summit, which was literally the first of its kind. And we had 5,000 participants from across the world. We had phenomenal speakers from NASA to the UAE Space Agency to top-notch multinationals and academic institutes from around the world. And this is going to be an ongoing thing. So again, the things that we've been doing is always to build not only from a physical perspective, but also from a virtual perspective. And as you can see, the people tuning into the webinar now, we've been hosting a lot of webinars over the past year, and we've amassed over 30,000 attendees all in all, just because we know how much effort it takes from our side, so we can continuously engage and build on these relations that we develop. From a physical event perspective, we also recently concluded the 3D Emerging Tech exhibition. We had a bunch of very innovative startups across the field of additive manufacturing or 3D printing, and it was really exciting to see them display themselves at the park. So that's it from my side. I tried to wrap up as much as possible. I'd like to give the floor to Vikrant for him to take over and give him his insights and piece on SICK Sensor and technology and intelligence agency. Vikrant, over to you.
Thank you, Tariq. Just let me quickly share my screen. Is it visible? Could you please tell me, is it visible for you?
Yeah, it's visible. We can see it.
Okay, so good afternoon. My name is Vikrant Kulkarni. I am a product manager for a company with a funny name called SICK Sensor Intelligence. So rather than telling you what the company does, I'll quickly dive into the hot topic nowadays, the smart factory industry 4.0, and then accordingly, I'll tell you what SICK is all about. So let's start the discussion here onwards. Before go into the presentation, I would just like to quickly go through some of the buzzwords you can hear every day nowadays. Big data, edge computing, MQTT, smart sensors, REST API, cloud, IO-Link, da. Cloud computing, deep learning, predictive maintenance, cybersecurity, and the list goes on and on and on. What is it all about? It is all a part of Industry 4.0. So the slide on your screen just tells you how the human development happened and accordingly how the industrial revolution happened. So just to give you a quick idea, the Industry 1.0 and Industry 2.0 was all about some mechanical sensors and electromechanical sensors. The first industrial revolution began with the invention of steam engine at the end of 18th century, the switch from manual process to automated production. The second industrial revolution happened after almost 100 years later with the development of electrically power assembly line production. The production became a bit more cost effective. After that, the emergence of sensors and programmable logics and information technology, electronics, everything emerged and the industry 3.0 happened. And this is where SICK actually started producing the sensors, the eyes of the machines and everything about the machines just to provide an automation in a factory world. So electronic control systems, information technology, electronics, robots, and the increased use of sensors made the industry 3.0 possible, which began 70, 80 years ago. And now we are in the era of industry 4.0, which is nothing but a next step of industry 3.0. It's all about the sensor intelligence. So fourth industrial revolution is a broad concept. It encompasses areas which are not really classified as industry, for example, smart cities. But Industry 4.0 is all about the fourth industrial revolution in a industrial environment, in a manufacturing environment. So the smart factories is all about Industry 4.0. So this is what SICK does. We have been producing sensors in factory automation, which is more of a manufacturing-based industry, logistics automation, which is more of a service-based industry, and the process automation, which is more of a resource-based industry. So we have sensors in each the industry I just mentioned. On your screen is a representation of communication levels in present day factories. Whenever you go into a factory, you can see lots of sensors on the ground. Lots of sensors are connected to a device called programmable logic control, normally referred as PLC, which controls the factory mechanism, which gets the inputs from sensors on the ground and takes some actions. For example, in a production line, maybe the PLC controls the rejections of the produced items. There are lots of PLCs on the ground. Most all the PLCs get controlled by distributed control level, which is the third level in the automation pyramid. After that, it comes down to production level. That's where the things called manufacturing execution system exist, which are nothing but the computerized systems used in manufacturing to track or to document the transformation of raw materials to finished goods. So MES kind of provides information that helps manufacturing decision makers to understand how the current plant is actually performing. After that, the data goes into company level. This is more of a Enterprise Resource Planning System, normally referred as ERP. This is nothing but a system which converts data from all the departments of a factory into a single software. This is a present day communication representation. However, since Industry 4.0 is all about sensor intelligence, the sensors which SICK produce have the ability to transform the data to connect to the cloud directly, just suppressing the machine control level and the distributed control level, and directly pass on the data into the cloud. And then in turn, the cloud will make a decision about what needs to be done in a factory. So this is what a communication level which will exist in the era of Industry 4.0. There are only 2 levels. Before there used to be 5 levels, now it will be 2 levels. First is the edge computing and the second is cloud computing. Edge computing is all about making decisions instantaneously, because most of the time whenever the sensor transmit the data into the cloud and the cloud makes the decision, it takes time. Sometimes on a factory level, you need the decisions on that moment. So that is all about edge computing, and cloud computing is nothing but cloud taking over the decision process of a factory. So just to give you a quick example of what Industry 4.0 means in terms of sensors. On your left side, you can see a small sensor. You can see a few bottles running on a conveyor. The sensor detects each and every bottle and produces a signal high when the bottle is in front of the sensor and low when there is no bottle. So it's just all about producing high-low signal. This is a previous generation sensor. However, nowadays, the sensors are so powerful and so intelligent, they can produce lots of signal. They can give you the data which says whether the bottle is there or not, as well as it can also give you the information about whether the sensor is contaminated, whether the internal temperature of the sensor is rising, or whether the sensor needs replacement. So if you can think about predictive maintenance, Industry 4.0 can help you predicting when the sensor is going to get damaged, and you can proactively change it. This was never possible in the past. I have a video to show you. So Tariq, if you can actually send the message to all the participants about the link, because sometimes when I play the video, the audio is not really good, but I'll play it anyway. This is a actual demonstration of how a smart factory works. This is a factory in Germany where SICK produced their sensors. So hope that was a good demonstration of a smart factory. It actually showed you how the robots and human can work together as well as independently. There is a very small human intervention in doing the production. Everything is automatic, which actually avoids the production errors. So yeah, in a nutshell, what is Industry 4.0 return on investment? So these are the four return on investments you can achieve. One of them is return on investment. You can reduce the rate of incidents, you can reduce the risk of ignorance, and you can improve the rate of intelligence. And that's it from my side. So,
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for that. And the video did work, FYI, so it was all good.
oh,
And I also posted it for everyone else to be able to review it at their own time. Really appreciate that, Vikran. Balaji?
Yeah. So I think I can share my screen, right?
Yeah, just go ahead and share the screen from your side. You'll be able to take over. Place it on full screen mode, and then you'll be able to fix.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Hi. Hi, this is Balaji here from PTC Dubai. So today I'll quickly browse through on how PTC is transforming industrial IoT across the globe. We are a 35-year-old company based out of Boston. We do about 1.2, and this year we are forecasted to hit 1.4 billion in terms of turnover. We have multiple products, portfolio of products, but today I'll be focusing predominantly on our IoT platform and the augmented reality solution that we have. So if you refer to any of the leading third-party analyst report or Gartner chart for the last few years, you will consecutively find PTC ranked exceptionally well on their chart, and which also signifies or kind of indicates and validates our position in the market today. We do have close relationship with most of the system integrators, as well as really strong relationship with Microsoft, Rockwell, and Ansys for their respective IoT portfolio. So today, I'll quickly run through in terms of what are the four main things that we are trying to address. One is, of course, the industrial IoT platform, but we also present it in such a way that we think that an IoT platform alone cannot actually take you to the end, and it also needs to have a strong digital twin or an augmented reality module inbuilt in it. So when we talk, or what we find with most of the manufacturers in the UAE is most common concerns or requirement continues to be around enterprise operational intelligence, that is more around product performance monitoring or enterprise plant benchmarking. Then comes the intelligent asset optimization, covering asset health monitoring, predictive maintenance capability for the maintenance team. And the third layer, which became more relevant because of COVID, is the digital workforce productivity pillar, wherein we help manufacturers move on from their traditional textbook-based or PDF-based O&M manuals to real-time augmented reality manuals. So we, as a solution provider, we provide the entire thing that you can see on the screen here, except for the physical sensor or hardware gateways and devices. Except for that, pretty much right from connecting to your L1, L2, L3 system, bringing the data to your own server or a private public cloud, and then we provide you the layer for the application development, including device management capabilities. So let me just show you a quick example of what happens when you have a truly Industry 4.0 or IoT enabled factory. That is, you have ThingWorx, our IoT platform, interconnected with Vuforia, our augmented reality platform. So what happens when you combine both?
PTC's industrial.
So again, everybody talks about IoT. We so much of money being spent on it. Every vendor has something or the other to provide. But what we realize is that many of these technologies can connect the assets, bring the information to a common dashboard or a command and control structure, and you'll get nice glorified views, colorful screens. You can see the Google map, you can see your asset. But beyond that, everything goes back to the old way of working. So for example, one of the main reasons why manufacturers spend money on this particular story today is to gain real-time access. And whenever there's an issue at the site, how can they resolve it immediately, or how can they prevent from an issue occurring at a site? So with most traditional technologies, we find that the story ends here with the dashboarding and raising a maintenance ticket. But with our solution, we provide you a quick AR view of the situation as well. So for example, if I am sitting in Dubai and the plant is in Ras Al Khaimah, I can visualize what is happening at that plant in real time using my phone, tablet, or head-mounted device sitting in my home. I can visualize that in AR in 3D. I can provide them corrective actions for the frontline worker, and as he takes those corrective actions on the asset, any difference or any impact in reading can be captured in real time. So what we are looking at is not only of connecting the assets and bringing the information, we are also getting a view of what happens when we take some corrective steps and how it is impacting those assets. So that by doing this, we make it truly bi-directional, and definitely in terms of an emergency, or in today's era where people cannot travel, if you have an expensive machine or an expensive component of a large assembly has gone down, and you really need to fit it, otherwise your entire production gets held up, I think this solution exactly fits there. So we are already ready for the next 10 years, because most probably in the next 2 to 3 years, most of us will carry a smart glass. Just like a mobile phone, we all will have a smart glass or a head-mounted device, and a majority percentage of the information is going to move away from our desktops and mobile screen to a smart glass device. So we provide you those layer infrastructure already as we do the projects today. So we set you up not only for the next 5-6 years, but 10-15 years as the technology continues to evolve, and we continue to evolve and move into a different world every year. So this is another example where you just wear a head-mounted device, you go to a substation, and you're able to see the information in real time. Another similar example, let's say in a pump, the one is you get the traditional view of the pump where you can, where it kind of enables the predictive maintenance capability. It is able to predict the failure pattern or the components that will fail, when it will fail. Now these are the things that we address on our IoT platform ThingWorks, where we also provide you the machine learning and analytics for these kind of things. But at the same time, if somebody walks through the site, he doesn't need to talk to anybody. He doesn't need to look at the analog gauges. He can just look at the device through the smart glass or through his phone or tablet, and all the relevant information gets displayed in real time. So another reason why we are rated as #1 today is the sheer fact that we have connected more factories under industrial IoT or Industry 4.0 across the globe. So, and again, across multiple portfolios, multiple different verticals, from process to medical, aerospace and defense, consumer goods, CPG, packaging, metals, minerals, mines, is pretty much endless. You name a use case or a requirement, and we would have done something in that segment somewhere in the world. So that's the other advantage of engaging with us, is not only the software, but the sheer expertise and scale and variety and diversity that we have managed. And our IoT solution is not only restricted to your manufacturing use cases. You can also tap in and connect your sales and marketing side, your operation side, your supply chain, quality, inspection. So it is truly a single platform which can address multiple use cases. So again, what happens is that many manufacturers end up buying a lot of point solutions, something for utility monitoring, something for fleet management. And then 5 years down the line, they end up spending more money in connecting all of that and consolidating it. If they come to us, we provide them a single shop which can address all their use cases with reference to connectivity, remote monitoring, and predictive maintenance. And as I said, we can walk into any factory, since we have most of the commonly available connectors for the PLCs or the L2 systems. So we have a library of 150 plus connectors. So you can have a factory with Siemens, Mitsubishi, Allen Bradley, Fanuc, multiple different makes, but we can still connect them without any hard coding and hard wiring, and we can bring the information quickly to our platform. Again, it is only remote connectivity is not going to really help you. The whole idea of doing these things is to ensure that you don't have a lot of unexpected downtime, or even if you have a downtime, you have a clear idea of when it is going to happen. So we provide machine learning and analytics in such a way that a common maintenance engineer or a supervisor in a plant can really absorb it. So we provide it in a format and in a form that it becomes really relevant. You don't need a data scientist or somebody heavily invested in knowing what analytics is to run this. We expect the common maintenance engineers and supervisor teams to run this program independently without any third-party support. So to summarize, the main 4 blocks, we provide you the industrial connectivity layer to connect any of the L2, L3 systems that you have. You have the base foundation license on which you can develop the applications, and then you have the machine learning and analytics embedded. On top of that, we provide you 4 to 5 out of the pre-built applications, which will address your requirements like OEE, asset health monitoring, production performance monitoring. So in that, if these are the use case that you're targeting, you can just plug and play the solution, and you can have a go live within 30 days. So what's the difference, right? Since there's so many technologies around, let me take a case of a $5 billion forging company in India, where again, they had multiple systems from different suppliers, and still they were struggling to build views like these, a single common view for the chairman of the company, where he can see the 2 main forging lines. And by just looking at it, he can visualize that wherever it shows in red, there is a problem with that particular line. Aren't you tired of looking at rows and columns of reports and dashboards? So we can also visualize your entire factory in 3D with all the real-time information, so that it is very easy on your eyes as well. This is another dashboard where we have connected the production plant, at the same time also the utilities like power, energy, water, that is essential for the running of a plant. So again, a single dashboard which covers both your operational as well as utility assets. This dashboard is of a single machine at an individual level, where you're able to monitor the key OE factors or any other KPI that you would have kept. I mean, I can show you a lot of dashboards in different ways, but the whole idea is that these things can be done without any hard coding. It's a low code application. You can just play with the widgets and create these applications and continue to innovate on a daily basis. Now, traditionally, we tend to focus, kind of help customers do it in a phased manner. So we have 3 waves in which we help customers. Then the first wave, we target more on downtime reduction and spare consumable reductions. Wave 2, we look at increasing the production efficiency and reducing and providing a preventive maintenance plan. And wave 3, we can help customers reach the ultimate goal, which is process optimization. So even before delivering the product, we can give them capabilities where they can predict what will be the quality of the product. So again, these are some of the examples of our pre-built applications like real-time performance monitoring, predictive maintenance, asset health monitoring, and these come built in with the platform. You can just plug and play and you can start using the application. You can change your code, of course. You can change the logo, add in the logo of your company. Now I'll quickly run through a bit of the augmented reality part. Though we can cover all these activities from training to troubleshooting and make it into AR, I'll just quickly show a small clip of a remote assistance tool that we have. And this is something that you can buy off the shelf and start using it.
This is Vuforia Chop.
So this application is like Skype with annotations. Basically, we can have a call on the phone, and I can visualize whatever you can see on your screen, and whatever I annotate on my mobile screen, it can be visualized on your screen. So this is like off-the-shelf, on-the-fly remote assistance that can be provided to your maintenance team and your on-site teams as well. So this is more on the AR, one of the AR products that we have. Of course, we have some more detailed products, but that's something that you can take up depending on your requirement. That's about it, Tariq.
Thank you so much. The first question that comes to my mind every time I get exposed and I gain insights into this domain is the adoption rate when it comes to your end users at the end of the day. So I know that there are a lot of manufacturing facilities. There's a lot of industrial manufacturing or F&B manufacturing or chemicals or whatever the case is, and they're in abundance, right? And we know the UAE is a big hub for that. So there's a massive target market. So the questions that that come to my mind are applicable to both of you, and I have a few. So the first question is from an adoption perspective, and I guess it's more influenced from a CapEx perspective as well. How do you deal with the ones that do want to access your technologies, but don't necessarily have the CapEx to kind of engage with you? How does that work from that regard? I guess we can start with Vikrant, followed by Balaji's answer and how the flow of the conversation has been so far.
So how do you proceed when the people do not have CapEx? Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of putting it in a very blunt way, but there's a target market, right? So there's a massive target market out there, and not everyone can come in and install or revamp their whole facility or revamp the supply chain and install all of this cool, because everyone would want to be more efficient. Everyone is looking to become lean and trim the excess and be more efficient so they could have a more sustainable operation. But it's always the matter of, I can't afford it, or I can't get there to this extent, or I can't get to this type of efficiency unless so how do you guys mitigate that, or how do you deal with that in that regard, or do you even do that in the first place?
Yeah, for sure, I can answer that since I have been in the sales environment for the last many years. One of the main thing where the customer, I would say, would need to understand what is the return of investment. Yes, sometimes the customers do not have capital to invest. However, if the return on investment in such kind of activity is a lot, I'll give you a quick example of a port. We have many ports in UAE. There is Abu Dhabi port, there is DP World, and whatever. They have our sensors all over the ports to avoid the collisions between the people and the crane, or crane to ship, crane to containers, crane to vehicles. Yeah. So the cost of such an accident, let's say if a crane hits the ship and smashes the antenna of the ship, the money involved in the repairs is huge. However, if the customer thinks wisely and invest in the proactive nature of avoiding the collisions, it actually is your return of investment. If you go to a port, you can see more than hundreds of 6 sensors mounted everywhere. Since they are on the port, they get damaged, they get contaminated. So the usual practice is they appoint few people who go to each and every sensor and wipe it off. But if you come to know which sensor you need to wipe, you just need one person, because not all the sensors get contaminated every day. So it's more of a return on investment point of view. The customer always saves a lot of money if they invest in such activity. That's my answer.
Thank you. Balaji, do you have any more to add to that before I move on to my next question?
Yeah, so we have maybe a unique approach, and probably let me quickly kind of comment on that. So, and I will not mince my words here. So I think when it comes to Middle East, many a times I find that in middle of the organization size, they end up losing a lot of time just trying to figure out what they want to do, where they want to start, at which scale they wish to do it. So there's a lot of energy, time, and money that they end up spending on these things. So to kind of help them in that particular situation, we have come up with a unique. I think you can see my screen now, right?
Yes.
We have come with a unique proposition where we go to customers immatter of their size. It could be the largest oil and gas producer, or it could be a very small food and beverage packaging company in UAE. We doesn't matter to us. So we go and say, okay, let's focus on 2-3 things initially. One is your production performance monitoring, asset monitoring, and augmented remote assistance. Have you done anything for these 3 use cases today? Now, 80 to 90% of the time, the response comes is that, yes, we have L1, L3 systems, but still most of these things are addressed through manual intervention or by really using a complex web of multiple technologies. So once we establish that even these 3 simple use cases are something that will really provide them a real good ROI, we propose them a starter pack where we provide them complete access to our technology for 6 months, including everything that we have, right from connectivity to machine learning and analytics. And we provide this to them so that they can connect the one line or a complete factory if they want on this particular starter pack. And they also get their skin in the game. The idea is that the manufacturer can get a quick idea of how does this thing really gets rolled out. What are the advantages that they get? What are the blind spots? What are the risks? So my argument is, rather than going to a consultant, paying him a hefty money, or losing your 1 year of precious time in evaluating different technologies, you take advantage of this starter pack. We are rated as number 1, and we continue to be number 1 for quite some time. Take advantage of this situation. Do it by yourself. We will do the knowledge sharing and training for you, and then you yourself at the end of 6 months, you'll exactly know which are the use cases, which kind of a platform you really need, and then I think then the road is very clear after that.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So the next one is a little bit more exciting. What are you kind of excited about in the next year, at least the next 2 years? Like, what are the things that you're not necessarily focusing on today, but you think is going to be the next craze in your line of business?
So, okay, from a PTC view and a personal view as well, I definitely think in the next few years, as I said, and I also did mention in my presentation, I think the way we consume information is going to change. I will not be surprised if many of us might not even carry a laptop by 2030. I mean, it's just a matter of time that a lot of clever manufacturers will come up with concepts and ideas for smart glasses and head-mounted devices that the way we consume information is going to change drastically. So I really don't think we will live in a world where we will have a mobile phone, a tablet, an ebook reader, and something else. It might be a single device, or maybe it might come down to just 2 devices. I mean, let's just imagine, right? Let's look at our office bag. I mean, I'm sure all of us carry a phone, if not 1, 2 phones, and a charger, and a tablet, and then a laptop. I mean, I really don't think that is the way we work by 2030. I'm sure, I'm very, very much confident about it.
Sooner or later, everything is going to be implanted in us, right? So let's wait until that time. Vic?
If you're asking about 2021, 2022, I can see a huge potential and a huge automation opportunities in logistics automation. Since this pandemic has kind of forced everybody to implement technology, and everybody wants things to be delivered to their doorsteps. Nowadays, the companies like Amazon and all these Courier Express Parcel, all these companies are investing a lot to reduce the turnaround time. I was talking with my colleague a couple of days ago in Germany, and at the moment in Germany, the Amazon people deliver your goods in a few hours, not in few days. So that's the next innovation which is going to happen. Plus, I can see a lot of technology implementation in food deliveries, actually. So if I can quickly show you my screen. It's okay, it's not working. But the production of food with the lot size 1, that's the next big thing. So everybody eats chocolates, everybody eats muesli bars. So if tomorrow morning, if I want to eat a muesli bar made up of 2 sultanas, 3 almonds, and 4 cashews covered with strawberry yogurt and completely vegan, whatever, the things are endless, but you can get that kind of a customized muesli to your doorstep next day with the same price of regular muesli. That's the next big thing. I hope that that's a good example I've given just now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I started to see a little bit more on precision nutrition actually not necessarily, oh, actually both from a pharmaceutical perspective and from a holistic perspective. So there's a lot of these very curated tablets that have a bunch of things in one rather than, depend on different type of things. So I do see very personalized nutrition, and it's going to be not only from, nutritional intakes, but also from a food perspective. So I do see that happening. That's a very interesting thing. Back to a question of beyond just the capex perspective, what's the biggest challenge that you think for adoption of technologies? Rather, let's focusing on your industry specifically. Let's again start with Vikrant and then Balaji.
Okay. In day-to-day life, whenever we visit all our clients, everybody wants to implement technology. Yeah. But the main problem what we face is we specialize in sensor manufacturing. Yeah. So
Okay.
we cannot provide the whole solution most of the times. If you take an example of Balaji, they are specialized in this Industry 4.0 platforms or whatever. So nowadays, it's the time is to the solution have to be made by a few companies coming together rather than one company providing a turnkey solution. That's the major problem we face nowadays. We have to involve few companies to provide a turnkey solution for our clients.
It's a very good
So
answer.
it's not one company. It's no monopoly as such in the what used to happen in the past. But yeah, everybody is coming forward to help each other.
Interesting. That's the anti-Amazon model currently, because Amazon
Yeah.
are getting into everything on the contrary side of that thing. Thank you, Balaji.
And I think I'll just extend the thread from what Vikrant rightly pointed out, and that even to do, or even let's say, even for a smaller company to connect a single facility, a few machines, I mean, by the time they really start doing something effective, they realize that they end up talking to 3 to 5 vendors, connectivity, sensors, gateways, and then the software guys, the platform. So again, and for this, so what we have done as PTC is we do have probably one of the largest certified ecosystem of partners covering from hardware to software and even services. And that's something that we carry along as a catalog when we engage with customers. I mean, it's unbelievable. We are talking to a pretty decent large company in UAE, and they had pretty much figured out what they want to do with us. And they realized that to get information from one of their L2 systems, the existing supplier is literally blackmailing them for $1.2 million, which is more than the entire IoT project by 10 times. So I think there are for many manufacturers who have gone with the traditional legacy suppliers for the last 20 years, it has been an ugly awakening to the kind of transactions they've been doing. But I'm sure going ahead, these things will change. And as we tightly integrate with suppliers like Vikrant going ahead, the customer will have a better experience. But again, this is where, sorry, Vikrant.
Just to give a quick idea, when I joined SICK almost 10 years ago, it was not even my wildest imagination that we had to get partnership with IT companies. Nobody thought about it, that the sensor manufacturer had to speak with the IT companies to provide a solution. But now we have to. So the line between different profession is getting a bit blurred. The professions are merging into each other slowly.
So basically, the line between OT and IT is pretty much, I think, is extinguished. There is no difference.
IoT.
OT and IT has to be integrated. But this again, as I said, opens up a very different kind of challenges for the end users, because then they struggle to even know where to start from. Should they go back to their OT suppliers, or should they go back to their IT suppliers? So that's why I said it's beyond technology. I think it's key for manufacturers to realize and figure out what kind of customers or what kind of a platform or a solution provider that they want to engage with. Because if the platform, see, if you look at IoT or Industry 4.0, there are more than 1,200 platforms in the market today. I mean, you cannot, it's impossible to even evaluate 10 platforms, forget 1,000, right? So you need to be very clever and shrewd, and you have to figure out that any platform or solution company that comes across as more flexible, with a much more open architecture to work with, they are one of the fine bets to work with, because what that means or what that indicates is that that particular solution provider has worked with multiple different suppliers. So they have seen the multiple different kind of challenges that comes across.
Okay, interesting. Well, I will take that cue. I think we're 1 minute away from our time limit. Gentlemen, I really appreciate your time and insights. And to the audience, thank you for every minute of you being tuning into this webinar. Please stay tuned to a lot of other things that we're doing. Again, what we're doing here is we're supporting companies to grow and supporting access to the MENA market, and always continuous dialogue with forward-thinking entities such as PTC and SICK Sensor and Intelligence. Gentlemen, once again, have a great day ahead. Thank you for your time and stay safe.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting us. Bye-bye.